Okay guys, so we're going to start talking about surface area in this lesson, and today you're going to find the surface area of a few prisms. So the first thing we're going to do is just sort of define a prism for the purposes of what we're going to be doing in this class. We'll draw a little picture of a very generic prism here. We already talked about this definition in class yesterday, but we'll define it, have it in our notes, and then you're going to find the surface area of the three prisms that you drew for homework last night. So we're going to do that right here in the notes. Okay, so what is a prism? Well, we talked about yesterday that a prism is basically just a polygon, a two-dimensional polygon, that's been extended into 3 dimensions by some height. So we'll write down that definition here and then draw a picture. So we're going to draw a polygon. I guess we'll draw a triangular prism here. So I'm going to really try not to make it look equilateral or anything like that because it doesn't need to be equilateral. So there's a triangle, and then I'm going to extend that triangle by some distance, which we will call h. Remember that that far side is going to have to be parallel to its corresponding side on the other base. I'm going to go ahead and draw in these dotted lines here to represent the sides that we're not seeing but that definitely exist, and then the back of this prism. So we would call this figure here the base of the prism. You could just as easily call that side the base because those two figures are congruent to each other. But we'll call this one the base. All right, we won't use this one here. And we're going to point out that this is the height. Remember, height in the sense for a prism does not have to be vertical. It's not like it has to be straight up, but it is perpendicular to the base. So just like with any other two-dimensional figure, when we talk about height, we're talking about a length that is perpendicular to the base, and we still have that here. All right, so this would be called a triangular prism. I also made a note here that the base does not need to be a regular polygon. So one thing we're pointing out is that this side does not have to be the same length as this side, which does not have to be the same length as this side. When we talk about pyramids in this class, we will need those polygons to be regular polygons. But for prisms, that doesn't have to be the case. We could be dealing with any sort of polygon down there. It could be a trapezoid, it could be a parallelogram, and then all we have to do is extend all the sides out by some height h, and we've created a prism. So now we'll turn the page and take a look at the 3 prisms on this page, which are the 3 prisms you were asked to draw for homework. So we're going to add those right here into our notes. We're asked to sketch a triangular prism in the space below such that the base is an equilateral triangle. Okay, I'll pause there and draw an equilateral triangle with sides of lengths 4 centimeters. Okay. And the height of the prism is 9 centimeters. So I'm going to go ahead and extend my prism by a height of 9. And there will be a side there as well. Okay. We're asked to find the surface area of this figure. This is what I'm going to put on you. I'm going to ask you to find this surface area, which is very similar to the example we did in class yesterday. I will point out that the figures involved here are 2 triangles, 4 by 4 by 4 equilateral triangles. There are 2 of those, right, because we've got one on the front base and one on the back base. You'll have to find those areas. Keep in mind you'll need the height of those triangles, which you were not given. So once you find those areas, you'll multiply by 2. And then we've got 3 of these rectangles. And I'll highlight one of them here in blue. That's one of them. It's 9 by 4. And if you look at the other sides, you've got another one on the back here that would also be 9 by 4. And then you've got one on the bottom that's 9 by 4 as well. So we have 3 9 by 4 rectangles, and you'll have to find those areas. To get the total surface area here, you'll just add all those together. take a look at the next example. We're going to sketch that second rectangle, the second prism you were asked to sketch for homework, which is a rectangular prism. The base has to be a 3 by 5 inch rectangle, and the height is 12 inches. So let's start with the base. So there's our base, 3 by 5, and then the height of the prism is 12, so I'm going to extend all these sides back by 12 inches. That goes for this side, and I'm kind of close here. This side has to come back as well. All right, and then I'll dot in the hidden lines. Okay. Again, this is on you to find the surface area. But I'll point out that there are 6 surfaces. All of them are rectangles. They're not all the same rectangle. There are 3 different rectangles here. So you're going to need to find 3 different rectangles that exist in this diagram. And there are 2 of each. And we'll check all those together tomorrow. So go ahead and find each of those areas, and then you'll be able to find your total surface area by adding all those up. All right, and then we'll talk about the third prism you were asked to draw for homework. This is a square prism. So I'll start by drawing the base. And then the height is also 10. So what that means is every single side of this prism is the same exact length, and we have a special name for these. I know many of you mentioned it yesterday. This came up. This is called a cube. So if you happen to have a rectangular prism, or a square prism, I guess it would have to be a square prism, where the height is the same length as the sides of the base, this is a cube. Every single side is the same. So if you're calculating the surface area, you just have 6 identical squares that you need to calculate, and this one should be a pretty fast calculation. All right, so that's what I need you to do in class. Go ahead and calculate all those. Take some time, compare your answers with your classmates, and then when you finish going through the notes here, you can get started on the homework.